Ah, Victorian England, a time of top hats, train spotting, and tremendous trousers. It was an age of industry and empire, where steam engines puffed and gentlemen sported magnificent mutton chops. But beneath the veneer of propriety, a different kind of steam was building. The steam of discontent. The gap between the rich and the poor was wider than a walrus's smile. While the upper crust dined on pheasant and fine wines, the working class struggled to keep a roof over their heads and gruel in their bellies. It was a time ripe for rebellion, for a daring escapade that would capture the imagination of a nation. And what better symbol of Victorian progress and prosperity to target than the railways? These iron horses, crisscrossing the land with their precious cargo, became irresistible to those who sought to challenge the established order. Little did anyone know that a band of unlikely lads were about to turn the very symbol of progress into a stage for their audacious crime. If you're enjoying this journey through history, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell to stay updated with our latest adventures. Now let's talk about gold, shall we? Specifically, the 14,000 pounds of the shiny stuff being shipped from London to pay the British troops stationed in Crimea. That's right, dear reader, amidst the Crimean War, someone thought it was a brilliant idea to send a small fortune on a train journey across the country. Enter Edward Agar, a charming rogue with a taste for the finer things in life and a distinct aversion to honest work. Agar, you see, was the mastermind behind what would become known as the Great Train Robbery of 1855. He wasn't your typical thug, mind you. He was a smooth operator, a man who knew how to blend in with the upper crust while plotting their downfall. Agar assembled a motley crew of accomplices, each more delightfully eccentric than the last. There was William Tester, a master locksmith with a penchant for picking locks and cracking safes. Then there was James Burgess, a former police officer who knew the railway system like the back of his hand. And let's not forget about the crafty George Mullard, a man of many talents and even more aliases. Their plan? To intercept the gold-laden train, relieve it of its precious cargo, and melt into the English countryside without raising a single eyebrow. But this was no smash-and-grab job. Oh no, this was Victorian England, where even crime had a certain etiquette. Weeks were spent meticulously studying train schedules, bribing railway officials, and even making wax impressions of the safe keys. This was a heist planned with the precision of a military operation and the finesse of a high society soiree. The night of May 15, 1855 arrived, cloaked in a thick fog that would make a pea souper proud. The stage was set and our band of unlikely criminals took their positions. Tester, the master locksmith, used his cunning to disable the signals, bringing the train to a halt at a predetermined spot. With the train at a standstill, Agar and his accomplices, disguised as railway workers, boarded the train. There was no need for violence, no guns drawn, no threats uttered. They simply informed the unsuspecting guards that they were needed elsewhere, and the obliging chaps, none the wiser, disembarked into the foggy night. Section 5, The Great Train Robbery, Act 2. Now, you might be thinking, surely they didn't just walk off with a train full of gold. Well, dear reader, that's where things get even more interesting. You see, they didn't just want the gold, they wanted to make it look like an inside job. With the guards safely out of the way, Agar and his cronies set to work. They had studied the safe's mechanism carefully, memorized every click and clank. Using their wax impressions, they expertly picked the locks and cracked open the safe, making off with the gold bullion. But here's the kicker. They replaced the stolen gold with lead bars of equal weight, ensuring the train's balance wouldn't be thrown off. It was a stroke of genius, a testament to their meticulous planning. Section 6. Blunders and Bravado, the Aftermath. With their pockets lined with gold, the gang melted away into the night, congratulating themselves on a job well done. They had pulled off the impossible, right under the noses of the authorities. But as with all good stories, there's a twist. Remember those receipts? The ones for the tools and materials they used in their meticulous planning? Well, it seems our master criminals weren't quite as meticulous about disposing of them. One by one, the receipts surfaced, leading the police straight to Agar and his accomplices. And if that wasn't enough, one of the gang members, a certain Mr. Pierce, had a crisis of conscience. He confessed his sins to the authorities, providing them with the final piece of the puzzle. Section 7. Justice. Victorian style. The trial was a sensation, a spectacle that gripped the nation. Newspapers had a field day, reporting on every twist and turn with glee. The public, far from condemning the robbers, seemed to revel in their audacity. The courtroom itself was a stage for both drama and decorum. Witnesses testified in hushed tones, lawyers sparred with witty repartee, and the judge presided over the proceedings with an air of bemused amusement. It was, dare I say, a most civilized affair. In the end, despite their best efforts, Agar and his gang were found guilty. But even their sentences had a touch of irony. Instead of the gallows, they were sentenced to transportation to Australia, a fate that many at the time considered a grand adventure. Section 8. The Legend of the Gentlemen Robbers. The Great Train Robbery of 1855 became the stuff of legends. Songs were sung, penny dreadfuls were printed, and the story was passed down through generations. But what captured the public's imagination wasn't the crime itself, but the manner in which it was carried out. These weren't your typical, brutish criminals. They were polite, well-spoken, and meticulous in their planning. They had a certain flair, a certain panache that elevated them from common thieves to something altogether more intriguing. The fact that they had managed to pull off such an audacious heist without resorting to violence only added to their mystique. They were, in the eyes of the public, the gentlemen robbers, a title that, despite their crimes, they wore with a certain roguish charm. Newspapers of the time were filled with stories of their exploits, and courtroom sketches depicted them as almost heroic figures. Their trial was a spectacle, drawing crowds who were eager to catch a glimpse of these infamous yet fascinating criminals. Even in prison, their legend grew, with tales of their gentlemanly behavior and clever schemes continuing to captivate the public. There were even stories of daring escape attempts, further cementing their status as folk heroes. In the end, the gentlemen robbers became a part of British folklore, their story a testament to the enduring allure of the charming rogue. Section 9. A Legacy of Laughter. The Great Train Robbery of 1855 serves as a reminder that even in the midst of Victorian seriousness, there was room for a bit of absurdity. It's a tale that continues to tickle our funny bone and make us marvel at the audacity of it all. And so, the next time you find yourself on a train journey, spare a thought for Edward Agar and his band of merry men. They may have been criminals, but they were criminals with style. Criminals who turned a daring heist into a tale that would be told and retold for generations to come. Join us next week for another Twisted History video. And you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell